Science knows when a human life starts. There is and has long been a scientific consensus on this matter among the scientific experts around the world. The controversy is among lay people or among scientists or physicians who hold no academic credentials or expertise in human embryology. When a human being begins to exist is not a mystery or just a scientific theory or a subjective, political, religious, or personal matter. It is an objective, empirical, and contemporary scientific fact of the biological science of human embryology, the only science that specializes in when a human life starts and his or her early development, particularly that of the human embryo and the human fetus. Despite this fact, or perhaps precisely because of this fact, not one human embryologist was allowed to testify in Roe. When a human being begins to exist has been known and documented for more than 100 years and was even instituted in 1942 in the Carnegie stages of human embryonic development. 1942 is way before 1973 in Roe, just saying. The Carnegie stages are 23 stages that document the accurate scientific facts of the human embryonic period, the first 8 weeks, or 56 days, of a human being's life. Human embryologists view the Carnegie stages in the Carnegie chart as chemists view the periodic table of elements as their gold standard. The periodic table contains the ingredients that make up the material universe and addresses the scientific question of what we are made of. The Carnegie chart tells us when a human being, the physical, material dimension of a human being, begins to exist. The Carnegie chart continues to be documented, reviewed, refined, verified in advance for scientific research and education purposes by the National Museum of Health and Medicine's Human Developmental Anatomy Center, which is a sister agency to the National Library of Medicine, the Federative International Program for Anatomical Terminology, the International Federation of Associations of Anatomists, and the National Institutes of Health, among others. Also, all genuine human embryology textbooks are required to contain a complete chart of the Carnegie stages. So what does Carnegie Stage 1 document? Carnegie Stage 1 documents day 1 of a human being's life. Carnegie Stage 1 documents human sexual reproduction or fertilization. The scientifically accurate term for human sexual reproduction is fertilization, by the way, not conception. This distinction matters because conception is an equivocal term today and may refer either to fertilization or to another biological process that begins about a week after a human life starts, called implantation. Carnegie Stage 1 consists of 3 subphases, 1A, 1B, and 1C. Carnegie Stage 1A is when a human life starts, and it documents that in human sexual reproduction, a new, whole, individual, and living human being begins to exist at the start of the fertilization process, when the male and the female reproductive cells make first contact. When these two mere cells make first contact, immediately, specifically, human enzymes and proteins are produced. Not human sperm enzymes and proteins or human oocyte enzymes and proteins, but whole human organism enzymes and proteins are produced that only a whole human being can produce. And a new single-cell human being with his or her own new unique DNA immediately begins to exist. Science knows that at first contact, there is an actual human being, not a possible human being, a potential human being, or a pre-human being, but a whole human being who is one cell big. This is why you are unique from day one, from first contact on day one. Scientists know this the same way they know bone is bone or blood is blood, or blood is blood. They use the scientific tools and methods that we have available. They use biochemical tests. They use special microscopes and X-ray technologies to demonstrate and study this objective, empirical science reality. In addition to the Carnegie stages, numerous national and international studies by academically accredited PhD human embryologists following the genuine scientific method have independently and empirically documented for decades that a new, whole, individual, and living human being begins to exist at fertilization. And despite what you may have learned from one of Planned Parenthood's scientifically inaccurate, federally funded sales programs, sex ed programs, in human sexual reproduction in vivo within a woman's body, pregnancy starts at the same time that a new human life starts, at the beginning of the process of fertilization in a woman's fallopian tube, the beginning of Carnegie stage 1, not when implantation begins in a woman's uterus, in Carnegie stage 4. A human being is already about 1 week old when implantation begins. Among other things, this means that if a drug or device may prevent implantation, it is not strictly contraception, like Plan B. It is also an abortifacient. And according to the Gates Foundation, the largest generation of youth in history is about to enter their reproductive years. It seems like now is the time to get this right. After fertilization, the new human embryo does not become a different kind of thing. He or she continues to grow and develop as the same human being throughout the rest of the embryonic period, then through the fetal period, and then after birth, throughout all of the subsequent periods and stages of human development. This is a biological fact called the continuum of human life, and it essentially means you used to be much smaller, but you were still you. Scientifically, there is no such thing as a pre-person. It's a made-up stage of human development. Personhood is not a scientific fact. It is a mere concept. And unless it matches the objective science reality, it is a false concept. The objective science reality is that all human beings are human persons, or none of us are human persons. We should be celebrating this science, not minimizing, dismissing, and corrupting this science to the point where the accurate science is missing from every aspect of our lives today. Roe v. Wade is not proof that science doesn't know when a human life starts. It is proof that there is a massive science illiteracy problem in this country. It is proof that there is a massive science denial problem in this country, and it's time to stop indulging science deniers. There are many actions that you can take to help spread the scientific word at this critical time. Share what you have learned with your friends and family. Stand up to science denial with these scientific facts. Use social media to raise your voices online. Check out Contend's social media page. We have so many scientifically accurate posts that you may be able to use. Hang a Carnegie chart on the wall in your science classroom and keep marching for this science reality, because pro-life is pro-science. Thank you very much, and thank you for lending your powerful voices to this unstoppable science movement.